Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mending Threads. This is your safe place and your stronghold for whole body wellness. We have a transformation series each Tuesday morning. And today we're going to have a transformation series on law and wellness to look at mending threads. One of the things is that we want to begin with law and wellness seems as if it doesn't belong together. But we want to begin with the topic of holistic health and wellness. And when you look at holistic health and wellness, we know some things. We know it's not static. We know that it is moving. It includes the natural being, the natural mind, the harmony with ourselves, with nature, and with the normal flow of things. So we have with us two experts this morning. We have with us attorney Paula Robinette from Robinette Law Firm here in Houston, and we have our own Dr. Floyd Atkins from the Center for Wellness and Healing. And we're going to talk about these perspectives as it relates to balance. Thank you. So I would like to get started with Dr. Atkins to set the tone for balance and wellness. And then I want, when he speaks, I just can't wait to hear how Attorney Robinette is going to look at law every day for balance. So, Dr. Atkins, just sort of tell a little bit about your premise. And, I guess some people, I'm assuming since you're on often, I don't know why somebody has, we seem like we have an echo. Is it just for me?
Well, I turn my volume down, so if Attorney Robin, maybe turn your volume down a little bit to see if it stops. Give me
Yes.
feedback through her phone.
Yes.
Just turn
Thank
down
you. Oh,
a
that
little bit.
sounds, yes. So we have with us Dr. Atkins. And so, Dr. Atkins, I do want to say that Dr. Atkins is well known in the area. He is the author of, and I'm always messing his book up, of Five Pearls for Survival and Health.
Prevention.
Is the way I, huh?
The 5 pearls of prevention.
Five Pearls of Prevention. I did say for holistic health, but for prevention. And one of the things is that on Saturdays, the third Saturday of every month, he does give a wonderful presentation on some of the areas that goes out to everybody, that talks about how specifically to do it step by step. So today we're going to look at getting an idea about how wellness relates to balance and what is this. Can you just share your premise about that, Dr. Atkins?
Oh, yes, I'll be glad to. Thank you again for having me this morning. Well,
Yes.
first, when we talk about wellness and balance, wellness is a term that up to now has not been used in healthcare so much. We always talked about management of disease, or we talked about
Yes.
treatment of disease. But wellness is a way of life. It's a way you live. It's how you live. So you want to. It's a
Mhm.
situation where we want to stay healthy. So if you're able to maintain optimal health, well, we call that's what wellness looks like, where you do things proactively to make sure you stay healthy, do things proactively to make sure you don't get sick. If you do get symptoms, you want to do things before they get to the point where you have to go into more what I call serious or severe treatment. So yeah, wellness is just the way you live day to day, to always put yourself first, put your health first before anything you do, because we know without our health, we don't have our wealth, we don't have anything. So we have to have health first.
Okay, then. So, Attorney Robinette speaking, listening to him speaking, how would you then look at law in terms of wellness, a law in terms of health?
This morning, Dr. Lewis, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes.
I think this is a very appropriate topic for me as an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
You said you wonder why you would have a lawyer here talking about health.
Mm-hmm.
You see, practicing law is when we bring a case into our office, we internalize their case. And if you can imagine a person taking the worst situations that's affecting their lives and coming into an office and turning that over to another person. and then you have 10 people doing it, 15 people doing it, 20 people doing it, there can be a very significant impact within that person. And what a lot of people don't realize is that lawyers hurt. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
hurt in the office of the law. So this is an appropriate topic for someone who
Mm-hmm.
is a lawyer. In fact, this whole audience needs to be filled with lawyers
Yes,
because
yes.
we need to seek out, which we don't do. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm so happy to be here today, because there's a lot that happens in terms of physical health, in terms of mental health, when it comes to practicing law.
Yes, and I know we're on the same page, and I'll announce it at the end in terms of the mind, body, spirit thing for professionals. So Dr. Atkins, you were mentioning some things. Both of you are talking about a platform of a need to look at things from a wellness point of view. So I know you've been doing this a long time. Okay, and I
Hmm.
know that you're treating people at the Center for Wellness and Healing. I know you present presentations on prevention. So if a person, and this is for either one of you or both of you at the same time, that if a person wanted to own the topic of wellness and prevention, what mindset? Because we know things began, they start from the belief or the thoughts that we have. So what is it that we have to put in our minds for prevention? Period. I'm throwing this out to both of you. Any question that we have? Yes.
Oh, well, one thing I like to say, I want to comment on what Attorney Robinette said.
Mm-hmm.
In the legal professions and in all health professionals, there is an underlying cause. I always emphasize when we talk about mind, body, spirit, or when you talk about just health in general, the most I guess predominant factor that's found when people get sick or have health conditions or lowered immune system is stress. And in the legal profession, and she mentioned that you take on the cases of other people. So if you have people, if especially if it's a criminal, or it doesn't have to be, it could be civil, whatever stresses that a person may have that you have to deal with to be able to, defend that person or represent that person, you have to really get into it. And so that means if a person's going through financial stresses, whether they get sued, if they're going through stress, if they're dealing with the healthcare system in a lawsuit, if they're going through the legal system as a stressor again. So those stresses wear down your immune system. So actually, I see them, and that's a prevention where you can actually take on the same symptoms over time. So you really have to be well prepared when it comes to it being a law. And I guess a lot of lawyers don't do that. Same as doctors, they don't really take care of themselves the way they need to, because the doctors say, "Well, I take care of other people. I'm invincible," but they never focus on themselves. So that's one key thing. Stress is going to interfere with the immune system. Stress is going to help you not uh, prevent you from getting the sleep you need to get when you're working. And so between those two things, and then number three, not eat correctly. We can't, do that and then go to Frenchie's and pick up chicken because we don't have time to go any further. And so you have the food going bad, you have not getting enough rest, and you also just have wearing down your immune system from day to day. So those things are pertinent in operating in a healthy situation.
Well,
Yes, yes,
Attorney Robinette, he's just throwing pawn at me
yes.
because I admitted on Saturday that my weakness, when we did a wonderful show, that my weakness was on Sundays recently, because I was on this wellness thing and now I've gained all this weight, that I was treating myself. They said tell the truth, fess up before you try to do the clean thing. So I told him that I went to French's to get me some chicken. And that I promise, we have to do an action plan. And in my action plan, I promise. So he gets on TV this morning and he talks
Now,
about going to French's chicken.
no, 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 no.
So
It's 99,000 other people. It's 99,000 other people lying behind
that's
you.
all
I
right.
see the
That's all
line
right.
going down. Oh, and going down
Yeah, I
the
know it's
street.
it's backed up. Yes,
Okay, I'll use turkey leg
yes,
hut. Okay, turkey leg hut.
yes. That's
You're
true.
outing
That's
each
true.
other. You're
That's
outing each
true.
other. But
Yes, yes.
yes, yes, yes. But I'm telling you, the problem within the law is so prevalent that you could take three professionals such as ourselves, start a program for attorneys, and never see another client. Never see another client
Mhm.
Yes.
because the suicide rate is high amongst lawyers. The
Hmm.
alcoholism, and so many other things, and but it's kept to ourselves. We go to retreats and everything where people they will tell what's going on with them, but we take an oath that it will never leave that room. Okay.
Right. Yes.
And that's
Hmm.
unfortunate. I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, there was an attorney of Kirby who was shooting at people, and then he committed suicide.
Yeah.
Every
Yes.
attorney who saw that, we
Yes.
knew what was going on. We knew what
Hmm.
was going on.
Hmm.
It could
Hmm.
happen at
Hmm.
any time. It's a ticking time bomb situation.
You're right. Yeah. And it's just not with attorneys. With like Dr. Akin was saying, I have a lot of physicians. People have no idea. I have a lot of pastors. I have a lot of attorneys um, as patients. And one of the things that's important for me to get over, and this is why I'm trying to make it non-clinical now, if I can. And so we have a thing called Doing Life. And so we have these groups of professionals that come together. And we have group sessions among professionals to talk about what's going on. It's a closed group once they sign in and they sign confidentiality and how to support each other. But so it's prevalent because some professions are high end on stress, I call it, because they have different illnesses, the disease, particularly during the COVID. Doctors were really having nurses. Were really usually we have a nurse on this time. She's having something she's going through because she's having to be at the hospital all the time, seeing this sickness that's going through, and it's weighing heavy on her and other nurses.
Yes,
You
yes,
see,
yes.
and not being able to have the power to make the changes themselves, but just constantly getting problems and the difficulty and not seeing an opportunity for change. But so I think it's wonderful you all are talking about prevention and wellness to look at in the prevention what we need to do. So I want to talk about the struggle um, for wellness, the struggle that you see for people wanting to, are they avoiding the wellness? Are they avoiding
Yes.
knowing the wellness? Is it what do you call it? The myth or the fear of being known or the fear of expressing
Right.
it? Is it
Right.
that? What are your thoughts about that?
I
Mhm.
think it's all of the above. And I think what Dr. Atkins said a moment ago, we have to come to the realization that nutrition, the lack of proper nutrition, which is the foundation of wellness,
Yes.
um, is something that we have to embrace. I mean, I will start on a program, but the night before, I want to eat every bad thing that's in the refrigerator, so that I can, I want to eat this first because I'm starting tomorrow. Well, so those are the problems there, and we have to embrace that. We cannot get well until we treat ourselves from the inside. And that is the nutritional aspect of it. And then we should build from that point. Um, so
What Dr. Atkins has inspired me so that we have a youth group, we have an intergenerational family group, and just what you're saying, that nutrition is the key. And so one of the children in the group heard Dr. Atkins and said, if we don't have the money to go and buy all those things he just talked about, what can we do? Because when you you can't even get to the food bank if you don't have a car and you don't want to get on the bus for COVID. How do you go pick up the food and come back? And so one of the things we started was a growing campaign. And the growing campaign is to have men to help them build window boxes. And they're building window boxes, and then we're going to help them grow enough food that they can make salads. Because you could have like 3 or 4 window boxes, and then they could grow their own. They could grow enough food so they could have the thing that he talked about, the raw food every day, the vegetable, the salad every day. They would be able to grow enough. And so now we have to learn how to protect it during the weather, what to do. So we're learning different things about the air, And so we're going to take a different slant so on that prevention. So I want to hear more about the nutrition that we need for the stamina of stress and trauma, and also how to prevent from both of you for all of it. Hmm.
Well, from a healthcare wellness perspective, it goes back to, what I always say, even in my book and in other places, the most important decision we make each and every day of our lives is not what job we have or what profession we have or even how much money we have. The most important decision we make is what we pick up with our hands and what we put into our mouth.
That's
And
right.
that will determine your quality of life, and that will determine your quantity of life, how well you'll live and how long you live, just by what you eat, because everything is a determining factor from what we eat. Because, I tell people disease and sickness doesn't fall out the air. It doesn't come from any place else. It comes by what we do, how we live, how we sleep, how we eat, how we breathe. And so we have to start off by controlling those things. That's the most important thing. And
Yes,
I
yes.
think it's significantly um, I, it's significant that people have to know that you have to, number one, be committed. You have to make a determination about what you're going to eat. Like in our household, or what I choose to do is I know that every day I'm going to have a green smoothie. I don't think about the bacon, the eggs, the Denny's. I do think about it. The Denny's Slam Bam, thank you, ma'am. Breakfast. I think about it. But I know that I want to eat for health. So I'm telling myself, you can't eat that because, you got to deal with family history of diabetes, you got a family history of high cholesterol, you got a family history of heart attack and stroke. So knowing that alone, understanding that makes me realize that that's not the road I want to go down. I want to know that I have to be proactive. So if I'm going to have a stressful day, or if I know, at one time when I was doing, surgery, 3 days a week, and I was working at two different hospitals and had two office practices, I never had time to stop or think. I never stopped and think about what I eat. But now
Yes,
I
yes,
said I have to
yes.
make some conscious decision about lifestyle. And it doesn't mean you have to stop practicing or stop doing what you're doing, but you have to put yourself first. So if you know that you have a time every day that you're going to do things with stress reduction, stress management, that means that if you have a busy day, you got to stop in the middle of the day and you got to close the door, turn down the lights, and music, your prayer closet, prayer room, whatever it takes for you to tone down what you're doing. You put a sign on your door that says "Do not disturb," and you stay in there. And
Mhm.
you can take 20 to 30 minutes, even if it's taking a power nap. A lot of our clients we recommend doing those things. But what that does is kind of reset your stress level, where you're not under adrenaline all for 8, 12 hours a day. And you want to do that on a regular basis. We have patients who start off their morning with yoga. You start off your morning with a walk, exercise, but you have to get in the habit of doing those things every day. Another difficult thing for professionals is going to bed before midnight. We have to get the sleep in, because the most important sleep occurs between 12 midnight and 2 a.m. So if you don't get sleep during that time, you may get rest when you lay your head down, but you're not getting the proper
Yeah.
REM sleep that helps with healing, repair, and helps you replenish your body and rejuvenate you. So those are two things. I have a lot more, Dr. Lewis, but I want to leave that so we can talk about that.
Yes, yes.
Right.
So one of the things that we were talking about was the stress, and you were talking about the moments to give rest and whatever. So what
Yes,
I'm finding that even when they can't and they don't, if they could take that moment during the time of day, but also every hour to stop and really just breathe.
yes,
And what we found out, we were doing health monitoring, and we found out that the persons who did within the hour, if they drank water and they just took time to just breathe in, that we find that we're not even breathing, we're just panting. We're
yes,
just going through the day half panting, which means that the body and the blood is not getting the oxygen that it
yeah,
really needs in order to prevent a lot of disease and in order to repair itself, you
yes,
see. And so I think that we add to that the resistance to be in the moment. That's what it
yes,
is. It's our resistance of always being ahead of the moment that's really causing much of this what do you call it, sick thinking.
yes,
If I could use that, thinking that brings on illness.
yeah,
Yes.
right.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, both of you have said some things that are just so profound to me this morning because the first, the breathing, and we're not taught to breathe. It's just
Right.
assumed that you breathe.
Yes.
When we have to be taught, I just bought some CDs on breathing, knowing how to breathe, deep breathing, and what it will do for your system. I mean, our
Yes.
systems actually atrophy if it doesn't get enough oxygen, you
Yes.
see. And then Dr. Atkins said he made a conscious decision to
Yes.
eat properly.
Yes.
And that is the key. I'm hearing that. Yeah, you still may want to get that slam bam, whatever, but you have to keep constantly telling yourself because we've been trained to want the sugar. We've been trained to want this. We've been trained all of our life. So for the rest of our life, it still has to be a conscious decision to do the right thing because of this, and this. And those are two things that you don't really sit down and tell people in the way that they get it. In fact, I'm just getting it this morning. I mean,
Fantastic.
I went to your seminar years ago, Dr. Atkins, when you had your book, your first, I think one of your first books,
Yes.
I think, and I got to have that book. I think I let somebody use it. Don't let people use your books. So I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to get your other books. But from that point, and I was a vegetarian for about a year. Then I fell off because they said this, and you know that. So I want you to come back with that. Come bring that back for us because we need to do a whole seminar on that again.
Well,
And
listen, all you have to do is sign on. I'm going to send you a link on Saturdays. He's on every third Saturday.
wow,
And everybody is just going on. I have now all I have to do is to try to figure out how to get it to everybody. They're calling me every time they see it. So many people see it, then they're calling like, you need to then now. Well, what about how we're going to do it? So between Dr. Atkins and Chef Kelly, and I'm hoping Dr. Atkins to come on. What the questions came up this past Saturday, just what you just said about falling off, and I
Yeah.
can speak on falling off,
Yeah.
is that we need to have for everything we speak, talk about our weakness and what you're going to put in its place. So when we talk about green smoothies, there's a transition from where you are to the green smoothie. So we really need to, one of the problems that we're not speaking to, that's speaking from people who are calling in now, is that we're not talking about transformation. They say your transformation, to speak of transformation between the ill behavior, the sick behavior, to the wellness behavior. What steps can we take moving toward that? For example, people don't realize that they could eat beans in the morning, or that they could eat, there are other things that we could do to move toward the green smoothie. And, how to eat fruit, maybe eat fresh fruit mixed with some on a salad or something. I'm just saying what I start doing before 12 noon. And then I can move toward getting the green smoothie. And then if we did to make the green smoothie at night and put it in jars, if we know that we're going to be running in the morning, just some things that we need to look at about making the choice. But the thing is that we must come up with is making the choice in the head.
Yes.
that's right.
Well,
Mental part.
well, that's you're hitting. That's the name of my new book. I actually have a presentation called "Living by Intention," and so
Yes.
you want the intent. You want to have intention when you do things, and that's a great legal term. Attorney Paula, is
Yes.
that you always ask people what was their intent. So if
Yes.
most people go through life and they really don't have an intent. They react based on their circumstance, based on
Yes.
responding to something else. But if you have an intention, so I know that my intent every day is that I don't have to worry about what I'm going to eat. I'm gonna make that green smoothie. It's going to be 3 greens, 2 greens for every fruit. So if I have pineapple, I'm gonna have a kale, and I have spinach. If I'm gonna add a mango to that, also I'm gonna add some celery and parsley to it. If I want to add another fruit like an apple, you don't really have to add it because the apple is a good, what we call low glycemic fruit. I'm gonna add some hemp seed, and I'm gonna add a little cinnamon powder, and with a little coconut milk or water, blend it up. If you want it cold, you can freeze your fruit and do that in advance. And that way, and then you want to add, the flaxseed and things like that, because I'm going to have a full meal in that one glass.
Mm.
I'm going to drink not just 8 or 10 ounce. I drink about 32 ounces. So I drink a glass. Like people can have 2 or 3 cups of coffee, and I tell them to drink 2 or 3 smoothies. Like, well, that's a lot. I said, no, drinking coffee is a lot, because you're going to run to the bathroom. So, and you do that, and the protein you put in that smoothie prevents you from getting hungry, and so you can
Right.
go from 8 to 12 or 8 to 11 and prepare something. But another point you made, Dr. Lewis, is we have to get out of the mindset of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That was the
Mm-hmm.
industry or marketing has put that on us. It's always eat 3 meals a day. It doesn't. So if it's 3 meals a day, dinner could be in the morning. You could have salads with tuna. You can have salad with the fish. You can have salad
Mm-hmm.
with beans and rice. You could have quinoa burgers. You could have black bean burgers on a salad.
Mm.
But like this past Saturday, uh, Attorney Paulette, we talked about eating or living a plant-based life. That was a topic. So, and it's very popular to hear that term right now. Everybody wants to be plant-based this and plant-based that, but people have to understand what that really means and that you live that way, because plant-based eating is, again, the foundation of health. We have to have meat
Right.
after food at some point. And
Mm-hmm.
I always get patients coming to my office saying, well, I just don't like vegetables and I don't eat fruits. And I guess, and well, you like saying, I don't like living, because life
Mm.
depends on those things. Those are essentials for living optimal life is eating
Yes.
a plant-based diet. So making those decisions, writing them down, orchestrate your life to set up to do those things, and you eliminate the other options. And so even some days like today, I get up and think about, boy, an omelet would be great today. But before I have my omelet, I'm going to have my green smoothie, and I'm going to make that green smoothie, and then I'm not going to even want the omelet. So
Right.
that's the way you kind of get around that.
Wow. Wow. It's wonderful.
So one of the things I wanted to look at is can we look at what would you say about intentional wellness in terms of law? Like what could a person put in their
Mm.
mind to know that they could handle the stress no matter what comes in law, the mental thinking about the law? What could they know about making it through law? And I have one idea, but the rest of it I don't know. You know,
Mm.
I know one thing in terms of intention is as if that there's a little class that people are using to teach their children, their teenagers, before they go out about what to do and how to handle certain kinds of law. And if you get picked up, what to say and what not to
Mm.
say, who
Right.
to call at that, being intentional at that letter. And then the other one is how to stay away from scenes that create difficulty. Sometimes you want to be
Mm.
with your friends, and wellness is saying you have to identify who you are first. Who am I? You just like you are with what you eat. And so, as old as I am, I was probably healthier before I moved back to Houston because I defined that's the truth. Before I moved back, I did not have meat on my. We didn't. I did not do that. Basically, if I did, it was every now and then, and if it was
Mm.
special occasions, I pretty much was plant based. I walked every day. I had a team of people I walked with. I did stir fry, but as soon as I moved into a mentality of socializing at every meal, of having meat and this and that, and going to the country for hot sausage and blah 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 blah, like a whole thing,
Yeah.
then all of a sudden I twickled, I call it that
Wow.
way, a little bit at a time back into something.
Yeah.
And if you could have read before I moved back, I was only Dr. Atkins, remember how I used to, I was only like 100. I was not the size that I am now, I can tell you that. I was only wearing like a size 12.
Mm. Wow.
Okay then. And so this is all new. So in other words, what I realize and I'm writing about is how we think about who we are, how we
Right.
gravitate toward other people. And so now my belief, what I'm doing, this is what I'm throwing out in terms of legal, is I don't associate and go out to dinner with people who are going to move me toward that until I get stronger.
Yes.
See, until I get, it's like a recovery. Until you cannot go out with people who are drinking what if you can't drink, because it's going to lead you to drink. So if I love desserts and I go out with somebody who's going to eat a lot of desserts, I'm going to be easily led into desserts. And I know in my house now, if I love desserts, if I have anything sweet, I'm going to put it in the freezer, because if it's in the freezer, I'm not going to eat it. Most likely,
As
it'll give
relevant.
me an opportunity to not throw it out and not eat it. Okay. So in recognizing your weaknesses and recognizing your strengths, owning them, speaking them out loud, and then allowing yourself to be intentional about making decisions as to, are you going to go with what you believe, or are you going to go with what somebody else did for comfort, or to be associated with someone, or all in your weaknesses, you see, so to speak. So I really wanted you to look at that in terms of what could we do with our youth and with ourselves around preventing our mind, getting our minds oriented to know what to do and what not to do, so we don't move toward legal. It has a lot of legal stuff. It's like going into agreements with people, marrying. We know we have a person that you and I spoke about, who married someone from another country. And before she asked certain questions, what are some intentional things that people could do as a prevention for law? Now, I don't want you to work yourself out of business, but
Oh
what?
no, and I give that information all the time. In fact, I wrote this book for new lawyers. It's called Cash Flow for New Lawyers. When I
Yes,
was practicing for 10 months, I got a very, very significant case of a young boy who was choked to death by a supervisor at Texas Youth Commission. And
yes,
but in the book, I have a chapter called Taking Care of Yourself. Even back then, that it's important. One of the things you said was vegetable box the vegetable
yes,
box.
yes, yes,
We have to expound on that. I mean, I can see, on Louisiana Street alone, there are at least 10,000 lawyers. Okay,
yes, yes,
some of those buildings have 900 lawyers. I mean, I can see the green rooms, and I can see partners doing that for their lawyers. So they can, because accessibility is important. The better
yes,
food you cannot find close by because
yes.
like that, like having a McDonald's in the hospital. Okay, so not putting down McDonald's,
Yeah,
but
I know. I saw that. I was like, wow. Uh-huh.
yeah. So accessibility, but as far as individuals, I mean, the one thing that I want them to do, if thing occurs, call a lawyer. All they can tell you is yes or no. Take charge of your own business. When you come into an attorney's office, don't let them turn it around as if you are bringing them your situation, which is going to keep them employed, and now they own it and they're just going to tell you what to do and you just follow it like a robot. This is your situation. I met a young man at a Walgreens of Alameda, and it stuck with me. It was years ago because he had a leg amputated, and he appeared to be homeless. He was about 23, 24, very slim. And I went to him and I asked him, I started up a conversation. I asked him what happened, and he said, well, he was about 10 or so, and he was taken to the hospital and his leg was cut off wrongfully. I said, well, what did your parents do? He said, well, they were scared. They did nothing. I mean, they didn't pursue it. Well, when you have cases, and I mean, that doesn't happen as much today, but, any type of situation where you are personally affected, I don't care what it is, pick up a phone and call because many times you can get a free consultation. It doesn't cost you anything if you're in certain types of cases, like personal injury cases, for instance. You don't pay a dime. We take on those cases, and
Mhm.
you don't pay
Mhm.
anything. Criminal cases, but get information. It's access to proper information, like the information I'm
Mhm.
getting today. This is something that will impact my life from the moment I get off this site, because I'm going to start making changes because of this information.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, it can
Yes.
save you a lot. It can save your life.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to go forward with this. Another addition that we wanted to do is, could you imagine how far this would go if we had a youth on this particular show? So we interviewed youth last night. And so we have We're going to have a youth on each week, okay, that will be able to take it, and they'll be able to bring on other young people so that they can get the word out, okay, and as to what we're speaking about. And we can put this information in a format where people from different ages or different groups or different cultures will be able to own it and be able to take it and live by it, and take maybe our mistakes and you all's expertise to make it happen and make it live is what I call it. So this is what we're looking at. And our hope in the end is that we will begin to use your expertise, Attorney Robinette, and your expertise, Dr. Atkins, not only the information, but that every quarter we begin to write together some information and pool it so that it can get out in a little portfolio or book or something to the
Yes,
community.
yes.
Okay, and that's the goal. So we'll have like a writing seminar. This is what the prayer is to have a writing seminar on a Saturday afternoon, and that we actually are going to write this together as to what the tidbits of what we need to do, okay,
Good.
for youth and for adults. Okay. So I
Beautiful.
thought it would be befitting before we end it that we all engage in some form of relaxation. So I'm going to do one. Dr. Atkins is going to give us something we should say to ourselves for wellness. You're going to give us something that we should say to take care of ourselves. And then when the two of you do that, then I'm going to do the breathing exercise with the two of us, with all of us, so that people would practice the writing. So, so what would you? What either one of you can leave us with something self-care, some self-care or something to think of to hold us over to next week or to the Saturday.
Attorney Paula.
Well, I can only talk about what I do for myself. And this has helped me. I don't know, maybe in other people's professions, but I have always had in my mind and in my heart that when someone comes into my office, it helps. I believe that God has sent them, that I
Mm-hmm.
am to do, that there is something that I am supposed to do for them, or if it's just words, if it's just words of comfort, if there is to be an association, I take my time and I get to know who I'm talking with, find out what their concerns are, let them know that I respect them no matter what station of life. When I do that, it makes me feel better. So, what I can tell people is that humility, you know,
Mm-hmm.
giving a person that extra consideration. Because when you do
Mm-hmm.
that, it comes back to you. It makes you
Mm-hmm.
feel fulfilled. And
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much what I can say is what I do, and it helps me a lot.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Well, I can say exactly the same thing because it translates the same way. When you do that, one thing going back to my spiritual, my pastoral background, uh,
Mm-hmm.
the biggest issue I have with people and making a lifestyle change or making a decision is their thinking. So I go back to the scripture, as a man thinketh, so is he. So it's not getting a person to start drinking smoothies, eating a plant-based diet and doing things like that. The most important thing I want to do is change your thinking about what you do. Because if you think differently, and it's one step at a time, so go back to the motto of how do you eat an elephant? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It's not that the elephant's too big, but one bite at a time, and you'll get there. So if you can change a person's thinking about even the idea of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, even the idea of that I need to, when midnight comes, I'm putting things down and I'm going to get my rest. If I want to complete my task, I'll get up at 5 or 6 in the morning. But at some point at 11 or 12, whatever your time is, make that your time. Do something that's going to relax you. Don't turn on the TV and watch CNN before you go to sleep. Don't do the things that are going to lead you to have a disruptive night's sleep or create more stress. do those stress reduction techniques. I used to think early in my career that doing yoga, doing meditation was corny. I said, no, who would do that? Why do you need to do that? And now I can't live without it. The deep breathing, you have to do that. You have to oxygenate. Not only you're inhaling good oxygen, but you're exhaling all the toxins and poison right out of your system. Breathing out is one of the best ways, second or third best way to detoxify, because so many things come out in our breath and our lungs. So these are things that we can do, but we have to adopt these things. Those things I'm sharing. And Dr. Lewis, I am doing a video series on video presentation I can share with people, similar to a webinar, but I have so much I've collected over the days that I share a lot with you, and some of them are work we've done with you, but I'm doing some things now because people need some specific tools
Mhm.
to be able to be
Yes.
successful when it comes to health and wellness.
Yes. Oh, it's going to be awesome. It's going to
Yes.
be awesome. I'm looking forward to that because I see I see all of us coming together like this together. So this is great. One of the things that I notice with people that I work with, they come in and they're very high stressed. And I remember some of the times that I was going through losses and change and whatever. One of the things that helped me was that I had to learn to center myself and find out what worked with me. And then when people come to my office, before I see each person, I center myself before, especially when I was in the office and now, before I get on with them, I close my eyes, center myself, and ask God to help me open my mouth and say the thing that they need me to hear for their wellness, which helped me calm down, but also it put me in contact with them. It made me able to contact their self and not be to be in time with them. So that's one thing that helps to do that. The other thing that I help people with is choose in your mind, even right today, but all of us could choose in our mind the very moment when we close our eyes that you're able to take a deep breath and you relax. What do you see? So you choose in your mind to see something. And for me, I can see flowing trees softly in the wind. I can see clouds slowly moving in the sky, you see. And as soon as I see and have that image, then I know to breathe in and hold it and then breathe out. So I thought we would try that before we end, and then we would be able to end very relaxed. So let's just try. Let's just see. And let's just know that we're going to have a mindset of renewal and beginning, and that is always possible when there's a belief, and that we're going to have in mind what feels good to us, the colors that feel good, whether they're yellow or orange or cream or whatever colors. And then we're going to see our image, whether it's trees blowing or clouds slowly moving across the sky. And then I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath in through your nose only, softly in and hold it, and slowly ooze it out of your mouth as if you're blowing bubbles. Blowing it and let it go out, 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 out. And relax and drop your shoulders all the way where you can feel the release of the tension in your neck. And then you want to breathe in one other time, in deeply, hold it, and slowly blow as big bubbles slowly, slowly, slowly. Just ooze it out and drop your shoulders and relax. Okay. Next time we'll get a chance to do some pressure points. Okay. Okay. I want to thank you. I hope that was helpful. And that's something that we're supposed to practice every hour at least. And I'm practicing that with my glass of water, Dr. Atkins.
Yes,
So right
ma'am.
after the show, I'll have my glass of water, and then I won't have a smoothie today because I don't have everything, but I'm gonna have my fruit and my spinach this morning. Hmm.
Great, great.
Okay, very good. So I want to thank attorney Paula Robinette from Robinette Law Firm being with us today,
Thank
and
you,
Dr.
Dr.
Thank you so much. And it was just such an insight. And I think this is going to be the best thing happening going on here. And I do, if you can think of whole body wellness. And so we'll need to look at all the other practice areas. And then we have Dr. Floyd Atkins for the Center for Wellness and Healing. I want to say thank you for being here this morning, coming from your wonderful place of mind where you are.
Yeah,
I saw that water behind you.
I can hear the ocean.
Yes, I know. I saw the ocean. Attorney Robinette and I said we're going to pack our suitcases and we're going to come over and get the bungalow right next to you all.
Yes, that's for sure. That's
That's
for
for
sure,
sure.
Dr.
We
Rhoda.
already
Yeah.
we spoke
Don't
about it.
wait. Don't
Thank
Don't
wait.
you.
wait. That's what I
I'm
Don't
ready.
said.
wait.
I'm ready. Thank you.
I'm just waiting on the COVID thing. I don't know. We'll have to talk about vaccinations later and all
Right.
of that stuff. So that's our next show. So
So
I
Yeah, I
want to
definitely
thank.
want to get Dr. Atkins' opinion on that, but we'll
I
talk
do
about
too.
that.
I do.
I do. I
Well,
want to
wait,
get to
wait.
that.
Well, wait a minute. We might have to have a phone call after this.
Please, if we
oh
could,
goodness.
that would be beautiful. Thank
That
you.
Yeah.
would be okay. We're gonna get
Okay.
on Dr. X. We're gonna try to do a phone call.
Oh,
Okay. So I do want to thank you, audience, for being with us today, and I want you to think about everything that we said, not feel guilty that you're not doing anything, but look at how you can ease into the frame of reference of who am I and who I am, and in terms of wellness, and move in that direction slowly, but move that way. I want you to renew beliefs, rebuild faith, and reconnect with families and communities. For it is not the circumstance that we meet, it is the manner in which we respond that determines health, happiness, and success. And I look forward to seeing you. Also, please get on our website, wrc-houston.com, and please sign up for a mental health coach. Tell everybody to do that to fortify our community. Persons are trained in whole body wellness to help people in their community and coach through mental health. And we've received scholarships, and we need you to help us help others. So get on wrc-houston.com. If you see Race to Win, donate to Race to Win. The Race to Win is to help the coaches help other people. Speaking of homeless, single parents, those they will actually come alongside of them and help them reach their goals and also reach access resources. So please, when you see that, don't say, I don't believe in donating. Think of the basket passing in your church. That's all it is to help people in the community. Do what all you can do. That's what I say at the time that you can do it. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you same time, same place.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.